often have at the start of each like content section that I have like the dot points in italics from the study design. So this one is just looking at activity analysis, including skill frequencies, movement patterns, heart rates, and work to rest ratios. And this is from the VCAR 2017 exam handbook, and it's still applicable for now, which is good. So if you haven't yet done this already, I recommend printing out the entire study design and laminating it. And so when I would study for my exams, I would go through each dot point, try and see how much I remembered from each dot point. Like try and like say it out loud what I remembered about each dot point. And then I would like go, okay, well I didn't really know much about acute responses. Let me go back and revise that. And so I go to my textbook, read up on it. I'm one of those people who kind of learns better through reading from a textbook. So if you are someone like that, like don't feel pressure to like watch YouTube videos and stuff because you think it will help. Like if you know how you study, like use that to your advantage. So I go back, read the textbook, make some notes on it, and try and like shut my book and try and remember as much as possible from what I like just read. So I think that's a better way of learning. It's an active method, so it's good. Yeah, so print out the study design. When you go through and revise, cross off each dot point. So it is laminated, you can use like a whiteboard marker. Cross off each dot point as you work through it and see how much you remember. If you're feeling a bit weak, maybe like label it a red color, use a traffic light system. And yeah, so printing out study design is definitely good. So an activity analysis is always the first step of designing a training program. You see I've bolded this. This is really, really, really important, you guys. This comes up like every single year for the exam. Like I think I've gone back like 7 years worth of exams, and this question is always there. It's going to be some variation of what is the first step of designing a training program. A training program includes these steps with this step missing. What is it? Something like that. Every year this question comes up, whether it's a multiple choice question or a short answer question. You must know that the first step in designing a training program is an activity analysis, okay? And that's almost guaranteed a single mark in your exam, which is really useful considering like how big the exam is and how many marks are there. So make sure you don't forget this one. It's really, really important. Activity analysis is the first step. The way I remember it is that AA, I just think A is the first letter of the alphabet. There are two A's, it's kind of a big deal. It's the first step of designing a training program, okay? So make sure you know that. During an activity analysis, 4 types of data should be collected: skill frequencies, movement patterns, heart rates/intensities, and work to rest ratios. So these are also things you must know. They also come up in the exam pretty often as well, so kind of keeping them in mind is a good thing. You often have to know just all 4 of these dot points too, because sometimes you will get short answer questions where you're asked to actually detail or list 4 types of data which should be collected, so make sure you know these as well. Like I pretty much stuffed my slides for this area of study in particular with questions which come up really often, and I just put them as like facts or statements and things, because this information is stuff that the examiners are going to test you on specifically, and like especially this one, this is definitely a question which comes up every year. Okay, so 4 types of data should be collected. We've got skill frequencies, which is how often you perform a particular skill. We've got movement patterns, heart rate/intensities, and work to rest ratios. So say we're conducting a training program and we're analyzing the activity of a game of basketball. So we might see we've got, quite a lot of dribbling, we've got quite a lot of shooting, throwing, sidestepping, stuff like that. These all come under skill frequencies. So if you notice you're sidestepping pretty often, you might think, okay, lots of sidestepping, and you might note that down under skill frequencies. In terms of movement patterns, you might kind of identify what areas of the court you are most based in, I guess, and areas of the court which you're kind of weak at perhaps, or maybe you don't really go there that often, and it might indicate a weak spot, and it's something you might have to like train up and focus your training on there. Heart rates and intensities, so noticing what heart rate you're in predominantly for the majority of the game and when it dips, when these intensities change as well. So you can use this heart rate data and intensities to kind of figure out work to rest ratios as well. So making sure you keep a guide or track of that. This helps us to conduct training which can closely replicate these areas. So the whole reason we take this data down is so that when we conduct this training program and we actually train, we can like focus on areas which are weakest and kind of maintain areas which are really like good already. So we use this data, try and replicate it as much as possible, or use it to benefit our training program. And as a result, we can design a highly effective training program which will help benefit the player in their actual sport. So all of this data should guide the design of the training program by identifying the major fitness requirements, fitness components, and skills needed in the sport or position.